The biosphere is the global sum of all ecosystems. It can also be termed as the zone of life on Earth, a closed system, and largely self-regulating. By the most general biophysiological definition, the biosphere is the global ecological system integrating all living beings and their relationships, including their interaction with the elements of the lithosphere, geosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. The biosphere is postulated to have evolved, beginning with a process of biopoiesis or biogenesis at least some 3.5 billion years ago. The earliest evidence for life on Earth includes biogenic graphite found in 3.7 billion-year-old metasedimentary rocks from western Greenland and microbial mat fossils found in 3.48 billion-year-old sandstone from western Australia. In a general sense, biospheres are any closed, self-regulating systems containing ecosystems. This includes artificial biospheres such as Biosphere 2 and Bios 3, and potentially ones on other planets or moons. The term biosphere was coined by geologist Edward Suess in 1875, which he defined as the place on Earth's surface where life dwells. While the concept has a geological origin, it is an indication of the effect of both Charles Darwin and Matthew F. Maury on the earth sciences. The biosphere's ecological context comes from the 1920s, preceding the 1935 introduction of the term ecosystem by Sir Arthur Tansley. Vernadsky defined ecology as the science of the biosphere. It is an interdisciplinary concept for integrating astronomy, geophysics, meteorology, biogeography, evolution, geology, geochemistry, hydrology, and, generally speaking, all life and earth sciences.
Ecosystems are large, often highly complex areas of our environment. In this video, we will be discussing some of this complexity as it relates to how different aspects of an ecosystem interact with one another. Ecosystems are composed of both biotic or living and abiotic or non-living components. Let's start by discussing the abiotic parts of an ecosystem. Sunlight, precipitation, soil composition, temperature, and air currents are all examples of abiotic components that can be found within an ecosystem. While each of these components is important by itself, how they interact with each other also greatly influences their environment. For instance, in places like tropical rainforest, precipitation almost always comes in the form of rain because of the high average temperature. However, in the places like temperate forests, where temperatures are much more variable, much wider variety of precipitation types exist. Even though the two habitats are both dominated by trees, the difference in the temperature ranges result in vastly different precipitation types and amounts. The variation in the temperature and precipitation also affect the local wildlife, the biotic component. It helps determine which species can survive in a given ecosystem. The biotic component of an ecosystem also interact with one another, much like the abiotic components. One of the best examples of this is how the various trophic levels interact with each other. At the lowest trophic level are the herbivores, those animals that primarily eat plants. In the next trophic level are the animals that eat the herbivores as well as some plants, known as omnivores. At the highest trophic level is the carnivore and is represented by animals such as wolves, lions, and eagles. Each of these trophic levels interacts with the other either directly or indirectly. A direct interaction between trophic levels usually takes the form of one organism consuming another, such as when hawks eat mice. The indirect interaction can be a bit hard to see, but often occurs when there is an intermediate step involved between two trophic levels interacting. Using the previous example, berries frequently consumed by mice are able to grow better as a result of the hawks eating those mice. In this example, the interaction is the hawk aiding the berries' growth by consuming the mice that eat them. Which trophic level do you think has the most direct interaction with other trophic levels? Pause the video and think. If you said the intermediate trophic level of the one that contains omnivores, you are right. Omnivores tend to eat a much wider variety of organisms than either of the other two trophic levels. This variety in their diets leads to them having more direct interaction than other trophic levels. Interactions within an ecosystem can also occur between abiotic and biotic components. One example of this is when weather patterns like thunderstorms cause forest fire and alter the habitats of the organisms living within the forest.
RJ sending me pics from the zoo. Check this guy out.
Aw, a rhinoceros. I love rhinos. Why can't they live here?
Because a rhino's natural habitat is in grasslands, like the savannas of Africa. That's a completely different biome than where we live.
Yeah, I guess it is a lot different than here. But, what exactly is a biome anyway?
Let me show you. I bet I can get online and find some pics that really illustrate the beauty of each biome.
Rock on. Let's do it.
So a biome is a major ecosystem made up of many different habitats. There are 6 different biomes found on planet Earth.
Are all 6 biomes totally different?
Yes. The 6 biomes are taiga, tundra, deciduous forest, tropical rainforest, desert, and grassland. The main difference between each one is its climate, the unique temperature and precipitation found there. We live in the biome known as a deciduous forest.
So what makes this deciduous forest so special?
A deciduous forest is the only biome with 4 seasons.
The only one?
Yep. Spring, summer, winter, and fall. Trees here bloom in spring and lose their leaves in the fall. Animals like foxes, bobcats, and songbirds all live in different habitats throughout the deciduous forest.
Enough about this place. Tell me about somewhere warm and exotic.
Bright flowers and exotic animals like leopards, toucans, and monkeys are found in the tropical rainforest biome. The rainforest's climate is warm and humid year-round, and heavy rains help keep it lush and green.
That's my fave, the tropical rainforest biome.
Not so fast. There are 4 more. The taiga is the largest biome of all. It stretches across most of Canada, parts of Europe, and Asia. Its climate has 2 seasons, cold winters and warm summers. You'll find habitats for moose, Canadian geese, other migrating birds, and even the bald eagle here.
Ooh, bald eagles are rare.
Even farther north is the tundra. Its climate is so cold and frozen that no trees can grow. Instead, there are dwarf-like flowers and plants that only bloom for 8 weeks a year. This is where polar bears, reindeer, and caribou live.
I always wondered where reindeer came from.
Now, let's heat things up and head to the desert.
The desert, that's hot.
It is hot, and its climate is very dry. Deserts receive less than 10 inches of rain all year. Prickly plants like cacti that can store water live here, along with iguanas, lizards, beetles, and jackals.
That's 5. One more biome to go.
Last but not least is the home of the rhino, the grassland.
Isn't a lot of the United States grassland?
Yes, but Africa, Asia, and South America have grasslands too. Grains like corn, wheat, and barley grow here, making a good home for animals that graze, like gazelles, zebras, and our friend the rhino. But they're not alone. Hunters like lions, tigers, and hyenas lurk in the grasslands too.
The grassland is one wild biome.
That's all 6. Still sticking to your favorite from before?
Let me think. There are 6 biomes found on Earth, and they all have different climates. Every biome has its own unique plant and animal life and is home to many different habitats.
So which is your favorite? Taiga, tundra, deciduous forest, tropical rainforest, desert, or grassland?
I can't pick a favorite. All 6 biomes are pretty sweet.